We did a poll recently to determine which Jumanji movie is the best, and you fine folks have come up with Jumanji is the best out of the entire franchise. But why is that? The first reason why I think this is the best Jumanji movie and why you fine folk at home think this is the best Jumanji movie is the story. The story for me is fantastic, of a young kid who gets stuck inside a board game and then gets out years and years later to find a world where his family are no longer alive, and the fact that he must now finish a game to be able to reset everything, which he didn't know it would reset everything. But the whole story in the first movie is 10 times better using a board game than using it through a video game. Because if you've seen the new Jumanji movies, they focus heavily on the new video game being the new Jumanji, in which doesn't have the same feel or effect that the original one does, having it being a board game rather than a video game, and that they're not actually entering into the game. Obviously Alan Parrish does, but we see that off camera in the original Jumanji film. But everything you see is in the normal world in the Jumanji film rather than being inside the video game itself, in which changes the whole perspective of the movie and the whole story around it. In at number 2, I think the second reason why people prefer the original is nostalgia. We all have nostalgia for certain things and for certain movies, but especially since this movie came out in the 90s, a lot of people that grew up in the 90s, a lot of people that were 90s kids would appreciate Jumanji. Or even if you grew up in the 2000s and was shown this film as a young'un, you would understand that film is like one of your favourites or something like that. You'd have a nostalgic feel towards it, and anything bad about it you ignore, or because you had such a good time as a child watching that film. And to me, I think that plays a huge part into reasons why, especially if you're watching older films and you go, oh, it was just better. Why? It's just better because of you growing up and watching it as a kid. And kids these days might prefer the new Jumanji movies because they have the nostalgia of the new Jumanji movies, growing up with those. It's personal preference. That element of things and the whole nostalgic feel to the film is reasons why we can go, oh, this one's better, this one's better. We covered it in Willy Wonka as well, and that was a huge part into reasons why Willy Wonka was better than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or the vice versa, because of the nostalgia of growing up with that particular film. And I think the same can apply with this franchise. In at 3, and people might be shocked about this one, but I think it's Robin Williams. Robin Williams is really, really fucking good. And when he was in Jumanji, he just lit up the whole film. It's basically the Robin Williams show watching Jumanji. It's all about his energy. He reminds me a little bit of Jack Black, being able to play all these funny voices and whatever, but feeling like a lovable, quirky character in every role he plays. And he was integral to the success of Jumanji, and there's no Jumanji without Robin Williams. And I think that might play into people's minds as well. The fact that Robin Williams was legit like the basically the godfather of Jumanji, and taking him out of it in the new films might have been a bit gut punching and gut wrenching to a load of the new people watching the Jumanji films and not having him being a part of it, if you know what I mean. Obviously there were references to him and the character of Alan Parrish, but it's not the same without him being in it. And I think that leans heavily onto that, in my opinion. In at number 4 is the overall fear of the Jumanji board game itself. In the original is just way above the fear levels that they present in the newer films. And that's not to say that they don't have any fear in the new films, it's just the fact that it feels different. Like at the start of Jumanji, we see there's a genuine fear element when these two kids basically are trying to bury this box. And obviously we find out what was in the box. It was the board game, and was like, anybody that digs this up may let them have mercy on their souls and all this shit. And that is simply for the fact that it's almost like it's cursed, and that's what you're thinking. It's like, it's intriguing, but it also is a bit scary, like, what's in the box? Obviously they're scared. We as the audience feel a little bit like, oh, what's in the box? I'm interested. And that is the intrigue and the fear that you love to see in films when they're trying to portray this box and this board game as being like one of the most deadliest things going and the most fearsome things going. And I think they perfected that brilliantly. In at number 5, they didn't have any megastars. Look at the newest films. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Karen Gillan, Jack Black, Kevin Hart. Those are just 4 by themselves that are absolutely essential in making that film a success. If you just had all the nobodies, and I'm not dissing all the people that were just secondary actors in the film, like the actual people that play Spencer, that play Fridge, and all those, they're great. But the problem is, we see for, I want to say 80 to 70% of the film, the main characters, the main actors and actresses of Dwayne Johnson, of Karen Gillan, Jack Black and Kevin Hart. So we're always focusing on those guys, and without those 4, the film would be a complete flop. Whereas really, in the original Jumanji movie, you had maybe 1, 2. To me, obviously, Robin Williams helped carry that film. Without him, the film would not be the same, in my opinion. You might disagree, let us know. But you also had Jonathan Hyde, in which was not a big megastar around that time in that film, and I don't think he would be regarded as a megastar neither. I think Robin Williams, he's on the edge of a megastar, but then you also had Kirsten Dunst, who you might argue, oh, she's a big star, but she was a kid at the time, and this was one of her breakout roles. This was one of her first sort of big movies that she was a part of. So really, she weren't a marquee name in this one neither. So really, you needed big names to help elevate the Jumanji movies after. Whereas in this particular film that we're on about, the original Jumanji film, they needed none of that. They had Robin Williams and a great story. That was it, really. You weren't marketing that one of the Jonas Brothers in there. You weren't marketing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that's been in tons and tons of films in the Fast franchise and everything like that. And Karen Gillan, that's been a part of some of the biggest projects in recent history of in the MCU and in Doctor Who and things like that. You're not presenting. And then obviously Jack Black, without mentioning a list of what he's been in. Those guys, and Kevin Hart as well, he's one of those. They didn't need that in the original film to make that a success, and that's why I think it plays a huge part in why the original Jumanji movie is better. Let us know down in the comments down below, though, if you disagree with any of my thoughts on reasons why Jumanji 1 is better according to you guys at home, and is Jumanji 1 better than the originals? Let us know down in the comments down below, and the vote should still be up if you want to get your votes and your voices heard by clicking a vote right now in the comments down below. And I shall see you fine folks in the next one. But before you do that, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Laters.